Okay, so hello everybody. This is Jane from vinylcutfiles.com, and I'm going to do a series of basic Adobe Illustrator tutorial videos. And today we're going to start with the tools and the workspace. So if you've already downloaded Illustrator, whether you have the free trial or you actually have the full software subscription, either way is fine. If you do not have Adobe Illustrator, you can go to adobe.com, sign up for an account. It's free, and you can download the free trial. So let's get started. Open up our Illustrator, and we're going to create a new file. And today we're just going to stick with the letter size, and let's do it in the portrait orientation. You can see over here it's got the different settings and sizes. Click create, and that's going to give us a blank letter size workspace. So the first thing I'm going to have you do is I want you to go to edit and go down to preferences and click on general, and I'm just going to go through these really quick. You can go back at a later time and change these anytime you want. These are just the way that I have mine set. It's been the easiest for me. And I'm going to leave everything just as it comes with the software on that screen. Same with this. The selection and anchor display, I'm just going to leave it the default settings. Type is set at 2-point, tracking 20, baseline shift is 2. I'm going to leave all those the same. Units, this one I change. I'm not sure what the default setting is. I always put mine for general on inches because that's easier for me when I'm making my graphics for my vinyl cut files because I know how big they are. Now the type and the stroke I leave on points. Guides and grid, you can change these colors if you like for your guides. You might want to change something from the cyan that's a little bit hard to see. Let's do a red. You can pick whatever color you want. And you can always come back and change this. Smart guides, I've got mine set at a dark blue. You can change that to whatever color. I leave the other settings the way they are. Slices, hyphenation, plug in and scratch. You don't want to change that, leave that alone. User interface. I've changed mine to the dark gray mode. This again is just depends on what is easiest for you. You can try different colors, but that's going to be your background of what you're working on around your artboard. Your artboard is the white letter size that we chose right now, and you can see in the background over here this is my dark gray color. So whatever is easiest for you to work with. That's the only thing I changed there. I've got my document set to open as tabs. Performance, I'm going to leave that alone. File handling, I leave those set to default. Now appearance of black, I want mine to display as rich black. You can choose whichever you want, but that's what I do. The touch workspace, I'm going to leave that alone because not everybody has that. And just click OK. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to hit Control R on a Windows computer. That turns on your rulers up here at the top and down the sides. I always turn on my rulers from the very beginning. Let me go back to something. I missed something here. Go back under Edit, Preferences, and go down to Performance. And at the very bottom here where it says undo counts, I've got mine set at 100. This way, if I do something and I made a mistake and it's 30 steps back, I can get back to it pretty easy and undo it and not undo everything I did up to that point. So I set mine at 100. Alright, now the tool panel, you're going to have a default tool panel showing here. And the first thing I want to show you is these little arrows up here. If you click on that, you're going to put the default tool panel straight down on one line. I don't like mine like that. I think it's too hard to see. So I shorten mine and make it 2 columns wide. Now any of these tools that you see that have a little arrow beside them, they all have other tools underneath of that. So let's just hold down on this right here, and it will give you a flyout menu with the other tools that are underneath of that tool. So once you get used to using these, it's a lot easier because you'll remember where they are. In the beginning, you may be clicking on these quite a bit to find out what tool it is you're looking for. Under the pen tool, you've got add anchor point, delete anchor point tool, etc. Under the text tool, you're going to have all your different types of text. Area type, type on a path, vertical type, area type, excuse me, vertical type on a path tool, and the touch type tool. This is your shapes tool. Gives you rectangle, rounded rectangle, ellipse, polygon, star, and flare. We'll get into these later. Whoops, excuse me. You've got your paintbrush tool. You have, let's see, what else are we going to be using? I use my eyedropper tool quite a bit. This is your eyedropper color picker. And your hand. The hand moves this where it's easier for you to see, moves the entire artboard. And of course our zoom tool, you want to know where that is. But I'm going to show you a lot of shortcuts too, so you won't necessarily be using all this. A lot of times it's easier to use the shortcuts. So let's just start real quick. If that happens, you want to go up here under View, and you want to fit all in Window. That'll put it right back there in front of you. Sometimes either you make it too big or too small and it zips off to the side, but that's how you fix that. Okay, so normally we have our tool panels are all over here. Let me just open this up, and I'm going to close some of these. I should have had these all closed before I started. So I'm going to show you where to get these, and we don't need all these. In fact, we don't need most of these. Okay. So what you want to do is you want to go up here under Window, and you're going to click on Align, and that actually gives you two. That gives you Transform and Align. We don't really need the Transform. I'm going to get it out of there. Go back under Window, and we're going to add layers. Layers you will use almost all the time. I'm just going to set that right there. You're going to need Pathfinder. Let's put it right here. And let's get our character tools here. Okay, those are down there. Alright, so now we've got these where we can use them. So let's just start in the beginning with some text. And I'm going to go down here to the color, double click the color swatch, and you see this little box here where it has the pound sign. That is going to be your hex code for this particular color. White is 6 Fs. These numbers are all 6-digit numbers and letters mixed together that create the colors. Let me just show you. Let's say I clicked on a pink, and that is the hex code that creates that color. But right now we just want straight old plain up black. That is 6 zeros, not 6 O's, that's 6 zeros. And we're going to click OK. And then we're going to click the stroke and put it on top. because we don't need a stroke, I'm going to click this little box with a red line through it. That'll turn that stroke off. Put your fill color back on top. And I'm actually going to close this color guide that popped up when I did that. Alright, now you should be pretty much set. Let's go back to the text tool, and I'm just going to click in the center of the page. It gives you some tiny text. It's at 12 point, and that's the default setting, which is Myriad Pro on mine. I'm going to make this text bigger so we can work with it and see what we're doing. I just put it at 72. Since it's still highlighted, I'm going to type a capital A. And I'm going to highlight the A again. I'm going to come up here to my font, and I'm going to choose a font that is like a black letter font. It's kind of a decorative black letter. This is the one I'm going to use. Alright, now we're going to come over here to our selection tool, and make sure you click the solid black one, because that's going to give you the box around the outside edge with all the little nodes and where you can stretch it. I'm going to hold down my shift key, and I'm going to click on this bottom box right here, this bottom corner. I let up on my shift. I'm going to move it up here. I'm going to make this letter about 7 inches tall to begin with. So hold down on my shift key. When you hold down on the shift key, that constrains the proportions so it doesn't get out of whack. Alright, I'm going to do about like that. Now I'm going to come up here in the very top corner, and I'm going to grab these two little crosshairs. And I'm going to bring them down, keep holding it down. So I've got it to the side, aligned to the left side, and to the top of the letter. Not the box, but to the top of the letter. And then I'm going to let it go. Now what that did was, that just made this side at 11, and it made, let me bring a guide down here for you. It made the top of this at 0. And it made the side, whoops. It doesn't want to let me drag a guide. There it comes. Okay, so now you can see you've got them both set at 0. And let's see, your A is currently at about 6 inches. So let's put a guide down here at 7 inches. That's where we want it to be. And again, I'm going to hold down my shift key. I'm going to get on this bottom corner, and I'm going to drag the letter, not the box, see the letter, the bottom of the letter, to that guideline. Now I can check it again by bringing these crosshairs out to measure. And it's showing that I am right at 7 inches. Alright, now if you want to clear all these guides, you go under View, Guides, Clear Guides. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to center the letter A to this page. So you want to click on the letter A, so it's selected, and you're going to come up here and you're going to horizontal align center, and then you're going to go over here to vertical align center. Now your A is centered completely on the page. We're going to go over here and we're going to click on the rectangle tool, and we're going to click somewhere on the page, and it's going to pop up this little box. This is what you want. We're not going to freehand draw them because I have particular measurements I want for this. So our width is going to be 7 inches, and our height is going to be 1 inch, and that's going to create a rectangle at 7 by 1. Oops, let me get that out of there. And you see how it's kind of off to the side of the page. That's fine. We're going to go back up here, we're going to center it horizontally, and we're going to center it vertically. So now that's perfectly lined up with that letter A. So now on a Windows computer, you're going to click Control A, which is going to select everything. And then we're going to hold down the Alt key, and we're going to go to our Pathfinder, and we're going to click on Unite. Now we're not done yet. It united it, however, we have to expand it. So now you go over here to expand and click expand. That just made this entire item, as you can see, one piece now. and that's what we want. Okay, go back over to your rectangle tool, click again. This time we're going to make it 9 inches wide by 0.8 inches tall. Click OK. And again, you have a black rectangle up here. Now, if it helps you, you can change this rectangle to a different color. I'm going to change it just for demonstration purposes. You do not have to do this. You can leave it black, but just so we can see. And because that rectangle is still selected, I'm going to click on center horizontally, and I'm going to click on center vertically. Now you can see what that just did. It centered it perfectly on top of our other rectangle. So now I'm going to hit Control A, which selects everything again on the entire page. I'm going to hold down my Alt key. This time I'm going to click minus front. Now we're not done, but you can see where the boxes, it deleted that. But see where the boxes are still there? So what you have to do is you have to click expand. And now you have a split monogram letter A. Now we're going to go up here to view, and we're going to view it in outline mode. And the reason I'm doing this, click on your zoom tool, because I know this particular, whoops, let me get the selection tool so that takes those off. See this little tip right here? We're going to zoom in on that. Now what's going to happen is when you send this to your vinyl cutter is going to try to cut that, and it's going to mess it up. So we don't want that to happen. We're going to take our direct selection tool, we're going to click right there because I know there's a node there. And we're going to go under the pen tool, and we're going to click on delete anchor point tool, and we're going to delete that anchor point. Now we can go back under view and preview on CPU. Now instead of doing the zoom out tool, we're going to use a keyboard shortcut. I want you to hit Control, hold that down, and hit your hyphen key up at the top of the keyboard in the numbers row. Hit your hyphen key until you get that back to the size you want it on your screen. If you go too far, go to the right and hit the plus key. You can use the hand to move it back up where you need it, and you're good. And there is your monogram letter A. Now what you want to do is you want to save this, and we're going to go under File, Save As, and we're going to go to our desktop, and I'm going to save this as split mono letter A. I'm going to leave all these settings just as they are. Click OK. Now I'm going to go under Save As, and I'm going to save it as an SVG file. For those of you that are using Cricut and you have to upload to the design space, this will help you out a lot here if you're using an SVG file. I'm going to save that again to my desktop so I can find it. Now you can leave these settings exactly as they are in here, and you should have no problems. So just click OK. And now we're going to go back to our files here, and here I have two files. I have the Illustrator file and I have the SVG file. And that's it. It's just about that simple. Now if you want to go one step further, let's see, I'm going to choose my text tool, only this time I'm just going to start it up here. We're going to make that try that again. Okay. we're going to type in here, since this is an A, Mr. and Mrs. Abbott. Alright, I'm going to select that text because I don't want the same font. I'm going to find a nice script font. This one will do. Click my direct selection tool. Oops. Well. Okay. And we're going to make this so it fits in the center. Now I've got my my selection tool selected, which creates the the box out around it, and I did that so I can resize it. If I were to do my direct selection tool, it only gives me the line that the text is on, and I can't resize that way. I prefer to resize this way to make it fit. It's a lot quicker for me. Hold your shift key down again because you want to maintain the ratio. And then we're going to click there. I'm going to make that a little bit smaller. And I'm going to hit my center horizontally and center vertically. Now I might have to adjust just a little bit on this one. You can see where the top of the letters are running into the A on there. Okay, that's still pretty close. I'm going to make it just a little bit smaller. I'm going to recenter. Again, I got to move it down. Alright, that looks pretty good to me. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going back to my text tool, and I'm going to select that text, and I'm going to make that a different color. Let's make that a bright pink for now. And there's your monogram with your customization. Now, always remember, anytime you do text for a cut file, when you click on it and it shows you that line like that, that is your text line. That is still in font form, text form. You have to change that and create what they call outlines. To do that, you go up here and click under Type, come down to Create Outlines, and what that has done is basically it has made those letters into objects. Let's click off of that for a minute. I'm going to zoom in and show you. Let's zoom way in. Okay, so now let me just click on one of these. Okay, there is your letter A that was at one time a font. It is now an object. That's how Illustrator sees this. That is how your vinyl cutter will see this. But I want you to notice something else. These letters are not connected, and this needs to be one object. So we're going to fix that. We're going to zoom in so you can see better what I'm doing. I'm going to go right up here to my direct selection tool, and I'm going to just try to capture these two little points right here and the B. I'm going to hold down my Alt key, or excuse me, my Control key, and I'm going to click Unite. That just made those two letters one object. So we're going to click off of that. Now you got more letters. You can see right here you've got this. And we're going to do Control Unite. Now let me show you, if I go under View and Outline, alright, you can see where they're now connected one point, or one object. But you've got other objects that are not, or they're overlapping. So let's fix these real quick. I'm going to connect this. I'm going to hit Control Unite. I'm going to come over here and do the same here. Control Unite. Okay, so that all looks pretty good. If you don't do this, your cutting machine will see the stops and starts on each letter, and that's what it's going to cut. And you'll have your letters all cut up in pieces. Okay, that looks pretty good. Let's go back over here. Okay, so we're going to select these pieces right here. Control Unite. That makes it one piece. Do the same on this one. Control Unite. And I'm using the hand to move this. That's just the easiest for me. Those all look good. Here's another one. So let's hit this. Control Unite. Alright, so I'm going to hit Control minus to get my artboard back on the screen. Put it right here in front of me. Okay, everything looks good. Except for maybe this right here. Well, let's take a look at that. I don't like the way that B is doing that because that's going to cause a problem with your cutter. So I'm going to completely take that out of there. And I think I will even straighten this up. These are what they call nodes. And you can move these, you just have to be careful. I'm actually going to delete that one. And that one. And that straightened that up enough that I'm going to leave that alone. Okay, so Control minus again. Until you get it on the screen. Okay, that looks good to me. I'm going to go under View, Preview on CPU, so that turns it back to the regular fill colors. And you've got your file. So now you want to hit File and Save again because you changed it. And we're going to hit File, Save As. And we're going to do the SVG, Save. And because we already have one on our desktop, it's going to say, do you want to replace it? Yes. Now you've got a perfect cut file to upload to the Cricut Design Space. Easy peasy. Check back for more videos. Don't forget to visit vinylcutfiles.com. Check out our freebies. We post them up about once a week. Have a great day.